What's going on? Today we have another powerful interview with my good friend, Jennifer. Help me pronounce your last name, though.
Denizard.
Denizard.
Yes.
Guys, let me tell you. So Jennifer and I have connected through the show, obviously, but she has such a powerful story that I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking more about what she does because it's super interesting for me personally with everything going on in the world right now. She's a nurse and she works in a COVID floor. I just want you, Jennifer, as you announce yourself to my crowd, to kind of share what that's like, because you and I have talked about this, and you're worn out, the face mask thing and everything that's going on in this crazy time with COVID. And it's just such a hot topic issue that I think a lot of people would appreciate hearing from somebody that's legitimately on the front line.
Absolutely. So my name is Jennifer Denizard. I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 19 years. I met John on the show, Play to Win. And so currently I am doing COVID triage. So that is the majority of what I'm spending my time doing. So screening patients, asking them their symptoms, going over both adult, pediatric, and geriatric assessment for COVID, and getting them screening, getting them taken care of. So basically that's what I'm doing 12 hours a day.
Yeah. Now, where do you live, and what's the infection rate where you're at? Like, talk to me about some of that kind of stuff. And then I'm going to actually dive in a little bit on COVID just because it's you.
Okay. All right. So I'll let you go easy on me. I may not always have the popular opinion, but so I am right outside Boston. I work in Cambridge.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was pretty heavily infected with COVID. But now everything seems to be doing a lot better. There are actually some hospitals that do not have COVID infected patients currently. So they are making progress, only to prepare for the flu in the fall. So it will be hard to tell the difference between flu and COVID upcoming.
No. Hey,
So we're preparing for a little bit of a spike. And, it's going to be hard further assessing the patients.
Yeah. So, and I really don't care if your opinion's controversial, because I like controversy. So talk to me a little bit about what that was like, because I know up in the Northeast, you guys actually got hit really hard, really fast because of the density of population. But was it really as bad as what the media made it sound?
It was really bad. Nobody expected it. It came out of the middle of nowhere. The resources were very limited. Even now, we don't have a huge supply of even gloves. So they're kind of trying to get gloves and prepare for the flu, and they're asking you not to use direct patient care, and you don't have to have the gloves on if you're just doing phone assessment. They ask that you preserve the gloves. So that's just one of the things that they're really looking at now, is the supply and demand, and kind of getting all of the logistics for the fall ready based on what we just went through. And so I was part of a center that opened up called the COVID Triage Center, brand new. So literally we all got deployed to different areas, and we just started assessing patients. We opened up a phone line, had people start calling in, started just literally assessing all day long, figuring out where to send people, if they needed to be in the hospital, if they needed to go through drive-through testing, if we needed to send a mobile van to their house, we would do that. So we basically had everybody covered in some way, shape, or form. But we, as nurses, were doing the assessment so much that we were actually also giving providers guidance, because they were not, we were just doing it all day long, over and over and over again. So we became the experts.
So what's the controversial opinion?
So basically, the masks, do they work? Do they not work? Why are people wearing them as they should? Why are some people wearing them over their mouth only? So I think what I'll say is, I think that COVID brought personal hygiene to the the forefront. Let's put it that way. So I think that those shirts that say I washed my hands before it was cool to do so or whatever. I mean, that was me as a nurse. We're washing our hands 24/7. I think it's helped limit the spread of germs where people are not sneezing on each other and not coughing on each other. And people are more heightened about personal space and just kind of the spreading of germs in general. But they say it's airborne, and it's just, it's really hard to tell. We get so many controversial reports from doctors and the media, and so it is hard to tell. But I can tell you that the masks have helped people with their own personal hygiene, and it has heightened everybody's alert to personal space.
Regardless of COVID, here's what you guys need to know. Wash your nasty hands.
Exactly.
And cover your mouth when you sneeze. Like, we shouldn't have had to have a world pandemic for some of that kind of stuff.
Truth. But it's like people also don't understand that, like, wearing, like, down here, like, you're covered with germs, right? I mean, clothes protect us. So whatever you come in contact with, when you have your masks and you're wearing them down here, and then you then slide them up when you're in public or as you're instructed to do so, it's kind of like you're taking all the germs from here and now you're putting them up over your face. So if this was exposed and people, didn't have a mask on and you happen to, or you touch your face, it's kind of, you're bringing all those germs up into your respiratory area.
Now,
so it's just being careful.
It won't happen too much on my page because most of the people on my page aren't this way. There might be a few jerks left, but I think I've filtered most of those people out, but there might be a few left. I think I saw a post from you where somebody was really coming after you over the mask issue. And, for me, especially in the South, where we tend to be a little more laid back, unless you're talking about our guns. The mentality here has been, you don't want to wear a mask? Cool. You want to wear a mask? Cool. And it's been kind of more of a civility in that, hey man, you do you and I'll do me. But I saw a post. I don't remember if it was in the group chat, but somebody like really came after you for this, right?
It was actually probably shortly after Play to Win. It was back right before it was named a pandemic, actually. And it was around travel. Something that you and I both love to do. And it was, before it was a pandemic, it was, don't encourage people to continue their travel plans. Don't encourage people, especially younger people, to take advantage of the deals and so on and so forth. It was earlier on, but everybody has their own opinion, and, I let them have their own. And, I'm all about the travel and really just taking care of yourself. If you're mindful of those things. And I do wear a mask. I do wear a mask at work. I do wear a mask where I'm supposed to, out of the courtesy of others and protecting myself. But like I said, for basic hygiene, I don't know. None of us really have the facts right now. I feel like we still don't know. I
was actually having a conversation with another guy. I have like 15 peer-reviewed articles that say it doesn't help. And then he's got, just as many that say it does help.
Yes.
And peer-reviewed research is not supposed to be agenda-driven. It's supposed to be about the science, about the facts, about, kind of like a community kind of consensus and agreement.
Right.
And this whole, and I've said this, like, I don't really care either way. I am the exact opposite of you. Unless I'm on an airplane where they're going to force me to wear one or kick me off the plane, I'm not wearing one. I'm healthy. I have no autoimmune issues. I don't get sick. Like, I'm not an A-type carrier, or what do they call it? Asymptomatic guy, like, I'm not wearing it. But I've said this, I'm not going to shame somebody because they feel that they should be cautious for wearing one. Right. Nor do I think people should be shaming people for not wearing one.
Exactly.
Like, you guys need to get out of freaking kindergarten and grow the hell up. Like, I mean, there's room for healthy debate here. on whether or not it's even helpful or not. I mean, and that's what you're kind of alluding to, that I'm not sure anybody really knows yet. Like,
agreed. Nobody knows. I mean, I'm also not putting myself, I'm not stopping myself from living. So I'm doing the
sure.
things that I want to do. I'm doing the things that I need to do. I'm mindful of wearing a mask around others. And, you know, being a nurse and knowing the populations and the people that I'm around that are at risk, like I would
Yeah.
never want to harm any of those people. So, you know,
Sure.
I might differ with you in that, but like you said, healthy debate, right? So just given my background and the things that I know about disease process and ages and stages and so on and so forth, there are people that are at higher risk, and I would never want to be the cause why they get sick.
So
And
if
that
I
could
was
just
in
be
a high
sneezing
risk
around.
community, I definitely would wear one out of deference to them. But I live in a military community where the mean average is 35 years old.
Right.
So, like,
it's a little different. Yeah,
like right now we have 1,000 cases and 300,000 people.
yeah.
So, like, it has not become an issue here. And I know that it was a super sensitive issue. I've had quite a few people, because I'm the guy who said, take advantage of those deals. Like, and I still do that. Like, I'm looking all the time. Man, if they'd let me go to Europe right now, I'd be there.
Yeah.
not an ounce of care in the world. So, I mean, I've had a couple of people that have really come unglued with me, and I'm like, hey man, you're on my page. You're more than welcome to leave anytime you want.
Exactly. And you've done a lot of stuff, a lot of road trips and stuff with your kids too, and everybody's been fine and everybody's complied with what they needed to do.
Well, I tell you, this is so funny. We jumped off the stratosphere in Las Vegas, 900 or 855 feet, and they made us wear a mask. There's nobody else up there, and you're jumping off a building. What? Like, and in Vegas, they make you wear a mask if you want to go swimming.
Wow.
Complete like nonsense.
It's different, because I mean, if you like, do you then pull it down or you just swim with it the whole time? You know, I don't know, but it's like when you're in a restaurant. I mean, people are like, wear the mask in the restaurant, take it off when you're there. I mean, it's just, it's really figuring out and navigating has become something just different.
Yeah, so let's talk about home life. You've got a really kind of interesting story between what you've done medically and then some of your story that I got to hear on the show. Tell me a little bit about that. You've got one son, right, that's just graduating or about to graduate?
Not yet. Don't push it. He's almost 16, so he's just starting
driver's ed.
Yes.
Okay. So,
yes.
Well, I mean, he's close to graduating.
Yeah, a little bit. So he's just going into his sophomore year. It's a little bit of a rough beginning. He's starting driver's ed. We're just finding out if football season is gonna go on.
It's not.
It probably won't. We've heard
the kid cancels. They're not doing football.
I know. They've tossed around different things, how they can fit it in otherwise around other sports. But it's disappointing, you know, it's different times for these kids as well, because they're all going to be going to college, and it's like, these are their sport choices and what they've done in high school. And it's just kind of, it's just a different territory. So it's a little disappointing to start off. He is starting off remote, and then they'll figure out if they want to let them into the school, but they said not before October. So everything's still up in the air.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy here. You know, we canceled school with no active cases in the county at all. But now they're debating on whether putting us back in. And as of today, officially, they're going to probably go remote because we had an infection spread rate. So you guys got it early. So what are they using as their metric to let them go back to traditional school?
So there's different plans right now. There is full remote, there's hybrid, and they haven't decided if they're going to let them in. So right now it is remote until at least Columbus Day weekend. So he starts later, September 16th, and they're going to reevaluate then. And it's really going to be on a month-to-month basis right now.
What's the rate like up there now? I mean, you guys hit the surge like right off the rip. I would assume that by now you guys have significantly dropped, maybe just in time for round 2, but
exactly.
It doesn't seem like, as I look at the patterns across the country, the states that didn't get hit hard in the beginning are now starting to get hit, and the states that got hit hard in the beginning seem to be bottoming out. Is that kind of what's happening for you?
So it really did bottom out. And it's probably been the last maybe 2 weeks where we're starting to get more triage phone calls with more symptomatic calls. But, you know, we also opened a lot slower. So we hit the phases a lot slower. We haven't really gone backwards, but there are some areas or some states that I think will go backwards. We just tried to kind of cap it where we are, slow down where we needed to, and proceed with caution. So it seems like things are going well. We have, like I said, a little bit of a uphill where we got some more symptomatic calls, but I think come September with the flu season and, you know, kids going back to school, however they do it,
It's gonna be crazy.
we'll see some uptick, you know.
Yeah. I won't get too deep into the woods on it because, you know, it's amazing that the flu mysteriously disappeared in February.
I know. I can't even go there with you. I can't even. I know.
So, all right. So, I mean, you're a highly successful and trained medical provider. You're a nurse. You're in a specialized unit. Why network marketing?
So, I was married and my husband was sick. He was diagnosed with cancer. He was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So he was sick and got sick very fast. He was diagnosed, you know, pretty much at his birthday in November, and we got the diagnosis quickly. They started treatment almost immediately in December. And
December of last year?
No. This was in yeah, this was a couple years ago. But by the following September, he passed away. So I stopped working, and I never worked harder than I did at home with him in any of my days in the ICU with the neonates, when I worked with the in the neonatal ICU, the pediatric ICU. I mean, those days were long. The alarms were constant, but I never worked harder than I did a day at home with him. And so I stopped working and I was there. I took care of him every day. And I was his provider at home. And, you know, he was sicker each day as time went on. I didn't realize how sick he was. And then he did pass away at home. So it was exactly what he needed. It's exactly what I needed. And I love every minute of being a nurse, but I needed a break mentally. And I was on a photography retreat, and I just remember being introduced to products that I was like, oh my goodness, I absolutely love. And I kind of was never prospected into the business like you and I had talked about before. You're like, somebody must have prospected you, but it really wasn't that way. I came across products that I loved, and I kind of pursued it. And after that, just it became something that really took up my time. It was something that I could focus on after the loss of my husband. It just was timing, and I really threw myself into it. And I just loved it. I loved it for the distraction it provided, for the help that
Sure.
it provided myself. It gave me purpose without being right back in the hospital in the ICU, dealing with devastating diagnosis with kids. I wasn't ready to do that right away.
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, you're a freaking bar of iron. I might have on the show been nicknamed the toughest guy in the room, but put little kids suffering around me, I break, man. I can't handle that stuff. It would drive me crazy. So for you to be able to even to do that puts you, in my mind, echelons above in your mental toughness and resilience. I mean, to see that kind of to see some of the stuff that you've seen, I can't even imagine. It was just crazy. So you were just up in Minnesota where I went to college. I saw you were right down the street from where I was going to college. What were you doing up there?
So that's the beauty of this business. I have become very close with Jenny Glasser, who's on season 1. So we just kind of got together. It was her birthday weekend, and that's the beauty of this: just talking business, networking,
Are you
and
guys in the same company?
no, not at
Oh,
all.
wow.
Nope, not at all.
That's cool.
Just yeah. So we just I think we bonded over the level of growth that this show forces you to do. It almost needs to come with a warning. Like you need to sign your life away, because no matter what, it forces growth. It happens. You may not be ready for it. Take it or leave it. It's coming, and it's nice to have people that you can bond with and kind of work through that with, talk through that with, and you know, we had a lot of similarities, and just through talking, we figured that out, and we've done a lot more growth just with each other talking through things. And it's nice knowing that someone else has been through it and also is familiar with rank makers in and of itself, and just Ray and the whole culture. So it's really been nice to have friends that totally get what you're going through.
Yeah. So you come out of tragedy and the trauma of losing your spouse, being in a situation where you're helping kids who are going through life and death scenarios. You make this detour to take a break for network marketing that's no longer a detour for you. What do your friends and family think? I mean, did they think, oh, this is just a phase? She'll give up on it after she's recovered a little bit. And then, I mean, how did that all play out? What was kind of the feedback you were getting?
So, I mean, my industry is like the beauty industry. So like my mom was diagnosed with cancer a year before my husband. So she helped me get through a lot of what I was doing. So I knew it made a difference to her. And it was a lot of like, are you going to go back to work? You're a nurse, are you going to, how are you doing with the business? So it was always like, how are you doing? Is it successful? But when are you going back to work? And so I got a lot of that. And it's just a lot of like, you're a nurse. This is what you do. This is where you need to be. And I love it. And that's what I want to do. And I'm still in touch with like so many of the families of the patients that I take care of. So many of my husband's friends, that were by his side, that he grew up with, that he went to college with. I mean, I'm still in touch with them, which speaks to the character that he has. And so it was just a lot of, when are you going to get back to work? And then my mom just passed away a year ago, June. So I feel like it's just been a lot of, it's been an uphill battle. But during that time, even though I'm in like the beauty industry and so on and so forth, and I like doing those things and taking care of myself, I wasn't taking care of myself indirectly. I was doing a lot of things that kept me busy, but I wasn't back to working out. I wasn't in a routine. I wasn't going to the hospital. And so I had gained a lot of weight. So I also ended up losing a lot of weight since then. So I'm down like 85 pounds, and I'm taking care of myself. So it's just been a lot of growth, a lot of loss. And I just realized through the show, like, my superpower is resiliency. But what happened after losing my mom and walking into Play to Win, I wasn't actively working my business. I kind of had used it to distract myself. And when it's like I was trying to figure out how to roll back to where everybody else wanted me to be, I wasn't giving it the time. And it's like I realized through the show what I loved, how to find the balance, and that my superpower kind of is resiliency, if you will. It's like every time I get knocked down, I get back up. So that's just kind of what I've been doing. And this is like the first, since the show, probably 6 months, that I've just been able to focus on me, be working my business, and just still trying to find balance, quite honestly. But that it's finally coming together. So I'm like, it's taken a lot of time. I mean, It really has taken a lot of time.
Well, I mean, anytime you go through the series of events that you've been through, it doesn't matter if you're Superman himself or just anybody else in life. It's gonna feel like an ass kicking, like knocking
Yeah.
you down every time you turn around. There's just no way. There's no way anybody else goes through what you've been through any differently, probably than what you've done. Um,
Right.
you know, it just unless they're not from Earth. I don't know.
Yeah. It's exhausting. So I'm just trying to find
Sure.
my own way, my own balance, the balance to do all the things that I love and, you know,
Right.
keep adventuring.
Yeah. So how long have you been a part of Rank Breakers?
So it's just been a year. I joined last August,
Okay.
and this was after um, having friends that did season one, getting plugged in to the community, and then I went to Rank Makers Live last year. That was my first outside company generalized event.
Okay. So a year. What do you think the number one lesson you've learned from Ray over the last year has been?
Just do the damn work. Get out of your own way. One foot in front of the
Did you catch
other.
his live
No
this morning?
excuses. Just do it.
All right. Did you catch his live this morning?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he was pretty fired up about doing the work.
Yes,
I just know
absolutely.
that.
Yep. Which is
So
all good.
yeah, no, it's. I was laughing. I was like, even before I saw the post he did, I was like, oh, collared shirt.
Yes.
Be
With a
careful.
warning.
With a warning. So, what was it that made you apply for the show? Was it that you had friends that were on the show? Talk to me about kind of the decision making process to come out of everything that you've come out of to then say, hey, I'm going to go give this reality TV show a gig.
So I did go to Rankmakers Live, and when they were talking about the show and showing the finale, I was kind of like, there was talk about season two. I remember somebody going up to the podium asking a question, and Ray just kind of brushing it over. And then he was like, "There is going to be a season two," and I was like, "I'm going to be on that show." And I don't know if it was just I was ready for something to push me out of my comfort zone, or it was a season of growth that I was looking for. But I knew that I was ready for something set in stone to push me, and it had been a very long time since I had pushed myself.
Nice. Okay. So, day one. Now, were you on day one alpha on Sunday or were you on my day one? I can't remember.
I was on day one, not your day one.
Day one. Okay. That's what I thought, but it's like Mary Kate said, it's the reality show amnesia. Like you start to blend things. So day one happens. I'm gonna do this in two segments for you.
Okay.
So day one happens. I would assume on your day one they did the very same thing they did for ours. They bring you around the couch. Yes. Everybody gets. So what are you thinking in day one, looking around that couch?
I was like, I can't believe I'm here. Honestly, I was like, this is insane. Honest thoughts. And I was just kind of looking around, like sizing up the competition, and I knew it was there. I knew it was there.
So sizing up the competition in your room, who did you think was the biggest threat?
I'll be honest, and I've said it to her. I knew Michelle McKenzie was going to be some of my biggest competition because we started watching each other in November-ish, just through one of the 14-day live challenges. And I just connected to some of the things that she was presenting, and I started to watch her. And then she won the tickets to Grant Cardone's event through Ray. Oh, yeah. And I was like, there is no way. Like, whenever you go to an event, you come back and you're all pumped up. I'm like, this girl's going to bring it. I'm like, she's ready. She's going to come off this event and be like, what's next? What's next? So,
right. Okay. So what was your favorite moment on the show? Without giving away any details.
Yeah.
Your favorite moment on the show?
I would say my favorite moment was the vulnerability of just the one-on-one interactions with people. I just remember sitting down next to Daryl, one of the other contestants, and just, you don't even realize those small, tiny, intimate moments that you're supporting someone else during a period of vulnerability, that is later going to make them grow and evolve. But they need help getting through that. And there's so many of us that went on that show and we just bonded like glue, right? But there's so many people that don't understand outside of what we did, just what we went through.
Yeah, pretty intense. So absolutely. That was your favorite moment, and Daryl's coming on here in the next, I think it's 2 weeks. What was the most nerve-wracking part of the show for you?
I think the same, being vulnerable and letting people know the part of your story. Everybody wants to think that they have their shit together and that, everything is perfect, and not everybody has their own moments where something is rough or they have to get through something. Everybody has life experience. It's what you do with it or where you get stuck. And there's so many people that get stuck and don't realize they're stuck and they just kind of go about it. There's a lot of people that are not ready to do the inward self work that it takes to grow and evolve into the next thing.
Yeah. So here we are. Show's over. Getting prepped for the release coming up soon.
Yeah.
Be announced here next couple of days, probably or so. What do you think the greatest lesson for you that you learned directly on the show as you look back at everything that you went through with the show?
That anything is possible, that you're in control of what is possible.
Yeah, that's great. That's a good one.
Yeah. I remember just talking to Ray for 2 seconds and it was kind of like, he sees a vision for all of us and he believes that we're all capable. And it's like, you just need to know that whatever you set your mind to, honestly, is extremely powerful and you can do anything that you choose to do if you put the work in.
I'd be really interested to get some of his behind the scene thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we come out of the show, the world goes into lockdown, the craziness explodes. What do you think's changed the most for you since the show? If you could put your finger on it.
The wanderlust, honestly, like I've become a lot more point A to point B. Where do I need to be today? How can I knock the most things out effectively without going to 5 stores? And just kind of on a whim, just, doing things as you please.
Yeah. That's interesting. That's good. All right. Well, I'm not going to take up terribly much more of your time. I just want to say, first of all, as somebody who respects the medical field, thank you for everything that you've been doing through this absolutely crazy time.
Thank you.
I couldn't even imagine being you, especially with all the divisive stuff on that stupid TV with all of this. It just for you to be on the front lines has been, probably a very stressful time for you. Thanks for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
I forgot this question. Hold on. We're going to stop.
Oh, God.
So in the group, everybody's really been nervous about the release of the show.
Yep.
How are you doing with the upcoming release of the show?
Oh, I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't worried about it, right? Because nobody knows, everybody wants to be portrayed in a positive light. But listen, it's about how you showed up, right? And yeah. I know that I had work to do, and I know that I always try to be positive. But if I showed up in a way that I didn't like, that's on me. And it's on me to realize even now and to fix it. So if I don't like what I see, as painful as it is, I have to make it better.
Yeah. So I have a little bit of background of being in the limelight and having people hate on me. And, one of the things I was sharing with, I think it was Paul, maybe it wasn't Paul, but is that I showed up knowing that I was showing up for a reality TV show. They will cut that thing that fits their agenda and I had to be good with how I performed and how I spoke and how I represented myself. And if they frame it in a way, it's because I gave them the opportunity to not frame it in the most encouraging light. And there's a couple of comments that I'm like, oh man, I hope that don't make the.
It's all good. I mean, we know it's TV, we know it's a reality show. I have faith in the Higdons. They don't want to make us look in a terrible light, right? But it's a business show. It's like, where were people? How did they get to from point A to point B, and how are they going to get to point C, right? So it's definitely teaching, learning, growth, and we have to own it.
Yep, that's a great note. You guys, we've got to own it. And the truth is whether you're talking about a brick and mortar business or a network marketing business, at the end of the day, one of the things that I've really enjoyed about Ray and following his kind of lives and stuff that he does now, having become a rank maker, is the onus is on you. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're traditional or network marketing or a nurse or a doctor or whatever. At the end of the day, the buck stops with you, and you can either control what you can control or you let everything else control you. So I'm glad you brought that out. That was great.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right. Stick on for just a couple of seconds, guys. We'll see you tomorrow with the next interview. You are not going to want to miss it.